Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the NewTek Stream or Die, How to Capitalize on Portable Live Production special event. We are very excited to have you here tonight. On behalf of NewTek and all of its employees, we'd like to thank you for being here.
Jeff.
The business models of television are changing. Media is changing. And these guys that we have here on the panel are pioneers that are implementing new technology to find new ways to bring content to their fans and their audiences. We're very excited that they're here, and we're honored to have them here tonight to share with you some of the lessons that they've learned while they've pioneered live streaming and bringing this content to fans. So I'd like to introduce our distinguished group of panelists, and I'm going to read some bios because these guys are pretty awesome. And you're going to be impressed with what you hear. I'm going to introduce Jeff Jacobs. Jeff is with MTV. He's the Vice President of Production Planning, Strategic Initiatives, and Business Operations for the MTV Music Group, which includes VH1, MTV, CMT, and Logo. Jeff leads initiatives in support of the music group's strategic priorities, including content development and distribution, cross-platform opportunities, and digital growth. He concerns himself with the business of production and focuses on emerging technologies, network synergies, and production operations. And he's been with MTV for 7 years now. Prior to joining MTV, Jeff was with the NBC Olympics division, where he led a role and ran much of the NBC Olympics production operations in Sydney and Salt Lake City. He grew up at NBC Sports and has worked Super Bowls, NBA Finals, and sporting events worldwide. He's been able to develop tentpoles in such mega programs like the Video Music Awards for the one-night shows into week-long programming events. He's also a 4-time Emmy winner, Directors Guild of America member, and on the board of the Sports Video Group. So I'd like to welcome Jeff with us, and we're honored to have Jeff. And Jeff has introduced me to some amazing delis in New York, so I'd like to thank him for that too. So Don Sperling is the Vice President and Executive Producer for Giants Entertainment. In 2007, Don was named Vice President and Executive Producer of Giants Entertainment with the New York Giants. Don oversees all television, radio, digital media, publishing, creative services, brand marketing, events, and live game entertainment presentations for the Giants. Sperling was also the Senior VP and Executive Producer of the NBA Entertainment, NBA TV, and NBA.com for 15 years. He also developed NBA TV's live game broadcasts as well as the international distribution of games. The NBA became the largest producer and broadcaster of sports programming and digital media with over 240 affiliates worldwide under Don's leadership. He also developed the NBA Inside Stuff program, and it's actually NBC's longest successful. It used to be. Oh, thank you, Don. It used to be NBC's successful and longest running weekly sports and entertainment program, actually airing 52 weeks a year. Don also helped launch the WNBA, and the campaign when they launched the WNBA actually earned Sports Marketer of the Year award. Don was formerly president of D&L Media and Broadcom Technology and worked with clients such as NBC, AOL, CBS, Fox, TNT, MSG Network, the History Channel, the Heisman, the New York Giants, and many, many more clients. He's also a recipient of multiple Emmy Awards and dozens of other individual honors, and prior to working at the NBA, he worked as producer and writer. Hold on. You know it's a good bio when you go to page 2.
It's enough.
Actually, but he actually was with CNN, and he helped really do a lot at CNN, and we're really honored to have Don Sperling with the New York Giants here with us tonight. We have some heavy hitters here, so it's pretty exciting. We have Sean Smith. Sean is the Senior Vice President. He's the Vice President of Business Development and also the Chief Marketing Officer for the NBA Development League. He's currently in his 4th year with the NBA family, and Sean is responsible for collaborative ventures in league marketing partnerships, broadcast digital content, team business development, and league expansion initiatives, helping the NBA Development League more than double its size in the past 4 seasons. One challenge Sean continues to address is maximizing exposure and revenue-generating opportunities while minimizing cost. He's spearheaded the digital strategy of utilizing affordable technology to distribute and monetize full games, highlights, vignettes, behind-the-scenes content, and digital broadcast resources. His role in the international business development with China, Korea, Africa, India, Latin America, and the Philippines have helped set the stage for ongoing growth and revenue branding exposure around the globe. Sean received his master's degree from Syracuse, renowned Newhouse School of Public Communications, and his undergrad from Purdue. He's married with 2 children, and he resides in New Jersey. And we're really honored to have Sean Smith from the NBA Development League here with us tonight. And our last panelist is Peter Himmelman. We got Peter Himmelman fans right there out there. Peter is he's truly a multifaceted musician. He's critically lauded as a rock troubadour, Grammy-nominated creator of children's music, and an Emmy-nominated film and television composer. Time magazine heralded Peter as one of the new troubadours upon the release of his epic debut, From Strength to Strength, asserting that he writes songs with the same empathetic edge and aesthetic urgency that impelled the lost generation to write novels. Himmelman is also known for his raucous, unpredictable stage shows. USA Today hailed him as one of rock's most wildly imaginative performers. During the 90s, Himmelman expanded his musical horizons, scoring a number of television shows and films, including the Fox hit Bones, ABC's Men and Trees, the CBS comedy The X List, Disney series Bug Juice, NBC's American Embassy, and Touchstone Films' Crossing the Bridge, just to name a few. In 2002, he was an Emmy nomination for his work on Judging Amy, a show he scored since 1999. Children's music is another field that Himmelman has really excelled in and has had very good success. And he's made 5 award-winning children's albums. And he's also received, and he's been recognized with a Parents' Choice Award, the Family Channel Seal of Quality. He's received a Grammy nomination in 2008, and his newest, My Trampoline, was chosen as one of the top 10 children's recordings in the United States by USA Today. His most recent project includes a rock and roll variety show called The Furious World. Go to furiousworld.com to check that out, and we're very honored to have Peter Himmelman here on this panel. And now, that introduces our panelists. I'd like to introduce the moderator of our panel tonight, Eric Schumacher Rasmussen. Did I did it?
You did it.
He's the editor of StreamingMedia.com and Streaming Media Magazine, and he's been a music and technology journalist for over 20 years and has written for Event TV, eMedia, and MTV.com. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Eric so you guys can learn some amazing things from these panelists.
Well, thank you, Philip. Clearly, I need to work on extending that bio.
Start it off.
Thank you. And you know, working for StreamingMedia.com, one of the most exciting things in the last few years has been watching the way that live event broadcasting and production, you know, has really gone from being the domain of big networks, big organizations, to the point where anyone can do it. And there's so many tools out there that are enabling that to happen. And obviously a number of them are on display here at NAB. Obviously the NewTek TriCaster is one of them, and I'd like to thank NewTek for inviting me to moderate this and for putting together such a great panel. I'm going to ask each of our panelists a question directed individually to begin with, and then it'll turn into more of a roundtable discussion, and if I have any chance of staying on script, I think it went out the window about 5 minutes ago. So I'd like to start with Jeff from MTV. Now, an organization like MTV clearly has the resources to capture and create content just about any way that you want to, but you choose using technology like the TriCaster to do portable live production for particular types of content. What does it allow you to do that you couldn't do otherwise?
Okay. First, thank you. And also, just if I may, a thank you to some of the NewTek management. I've been working with NewTek and TriCaster for about 2-3 years now, and I've been working pretty closely, and I've met and worked with and become friends with some of the NewTek management down in San Antonio, and it's hard to find such a good bunch of professionals to work with, and Philip Nelson. You asked a question. In your question, you used, thank you. In your question, you said 2 buzzwords, and I'll pick up on those. You said resources and portability. So that's how I'll address the question. At MTV, we started using TriCasters about 3 years ago. They enabled us to produce shows we simply would be unable to produce otherwise. So TriCaster enabled us to do a post-show, but online. So, you know, when the show's about rolling its final credits, did you have a good time? You want to see more? Backstage interviews? Go to MTV.com and for the post-show. And the return on investment, as everyone knows, the ROI for .com wouldn't enable us to, wouldn't permit us, wouldn't present the opportunities to do a post-show. But again, TriCaster, streaming, we were able to. So we served our viewers and we kept that content on demand for the week, which bridged our viewership from one week to another. It helped engage the viewers even more so. It was a win-win. And portability, I don't know how long these are supposed to be, but portability, you know, when you hear portability, when you're walking around the trade show and you see backpacks and Pelican boxes, you know, portability, I get that portability to a lot of people is I want to carry it on and stow it in the aircraft, in the airplane, or I want to check luggage. Portability to us, for a show like a Hills After Show or an ABDC or a red carpet show that we use it for, portability is, to me, not having to file city permits to put a 70,000-pound truck on a street in Marlborough, New Jersey, when we're doing something in a backyard, or when we're doing a Hills After Show, which takes place in a girl's living room and the girls are dishing about the show. It means not having to file permits with the cops and the police department to park a truck outside in a rural area. It means not having to worry about a generator on a city street. It means not having to worry about porta-johns and generators and office trailers and all that jazz that goes on with the mega production and the logistics of it all. Content's content. I'm lucky to work in a place where the conception begins with the creative. We have a creative, now let's meet and figure out how to implement that creative. But the logistics is what portability means to me.
Great, thanks, Jeff. Now, Don, with the New York Giants, clearly you've got an NFL team that has a fan base that's probably even more rabid than the average NFL team's fan base. They're clamoring for content that might not necessarily be economical to deliver to them with traditional broadcast. What kind of content are you delivering online using TriCaster?
Well, I would say the key word for what we do and how we use the TriCaster, and to Jeff's point, obviously affordability and, you know, an economy of scale and everything like that makes the TriCaster just tremendous. It's something that I think every college, every university, high school, anyone, everywhere should be using because of the affordability and also of the quality. However, that being said, in our case, it's really about access and giving our fans access, immediate access, access on a live basis, access on a live to tape basis, on a feature basis to our brand and to our players, and mostly to our players who really represent our brand. What we've done is we use the TriCaster for a lot of live circumstances, like from training camp or pregame or post-game or live call-in shows during the week, but we also do a lot of live to tape stuff, and we're able to roll in a lot of material. In fact, what it's done is it's created sort of a internal viral community in our marketing group and everything else. We started doing shows on the TriCaster and really breaking down the wall. When you do a television show, there's just so much involved and there's so much cost, and there always is a wall there. Because when you do a standard broadcast television show, there's a wall between the viewer and the studio that you're in. Everything is but when you do something on the TriCaster and you're live and you're doing it, you know, from training camp or from the field, and people can almost reach into that screen and touch and feel your players, you're breaking down a wall and you're giving them access, and that's what we do. We've created shows with our players. We've created live call-in shows with our players. Last year, Antonio Pierce was no longer with us. We have a show, Fierce with Pierce. We have a show with our center, Sean O'Hara. We had a linebacker, Danny Clark, called Big Blue Hits, a live call-in show. He'd bring other players on. He'd bring musical guests on. And we would create this access. What happened is we started to get a lot of sponsors. We have a show called Rewind, which is on Mondays, and then it's on demand all week, which is a 15-minute wrap-up of the game. We take the best highlights, the best sound bites, all the access that you don't get on the network, the behind-the-bench shots, the locker room shots, the key sound bites, the up-close, and you know the angles that we shoot from the field. We're giving our fans something that they didn't see in the broadcast. We're putting that together. We're shooting that live to tape. It's not a live show. It's live to tape, turning it around really fast and putting that out on the web on Monday nights so our fans, so anybody could see the game in 15 minutes. We had New York Presbyterian Hospital jump in. We have now 3 other sponsors come in. BP has come in and said, we need a show, a pregame show next year that's really not just about the game, but it's about things going on around the game, about celebrities and fans and tailgating. So we're going to do a fan show next year with them. We do a live pregame show before every game. This is the kind of thing we're trying to do. We're trying to break down the wall. We're trying to show that our players and our brand are accessible, are there for our fans, and also there's another big part. This is, you only have 80,000 people who can go to a game. We happen to be very fortunate because we had a long waiting list. We had 300,000 people on our waiting list. The PSL thing kind of shut off a lot of them. However, a lot of people had no access to coming to the stadium. What we do is we try to bring the stadium to people all over, and it's great for the outer market. There are Giants fans all over the country, all over the world, and this is their way to feel a part of that club that goes to the games and touch the Giants.
Now, Sean, for the NBA Development League, you're faced with some different challenges than a New York Giants that's already got this huge, rabid fan base. I imagine one of your charters is to build the brand, build the fan base for the NBA D-League. How does live and on-demand video help you do that?
Well, Eric, certainly a good point. I mean, we're not the New York Giants, but we are one of the best-kept secrets in sports. The NBA Development League has been around 9 years now. 20% of the NBA are alumni of the NBA Development League or NBA D-League. And though our 28 million fans nationwide tap into us through the NBA, there's still a vast majority of people. Let me just take a quick straw poll. Raise your hands. How many of you guys have heard of the NBA Development League, the minor league system for the NBA? Well, for those of you that are trying to make me feel good, thank you very much. And I also apologize for the glare off my forehead if it's blinding the rest of you. But it's very important for us on 2 levels to make sure that we become relevant. So that's really a big word for us, is the relevancy of our league. There's so much basketball out there, between the NBA, between college basketball, the international basketball landscape. So we look at this in 2 buckets, nationally and locally. Because of the TriCaster, we're able to position ourselves nationally in a variety of different ways. Number 1, online. You can watch our games live for free online, every single game that we do. However, we're not deeply concerned about the whistle-to-whistle broadcast. Yes, we're concerned about the production quality, but what we're concerned about from the whistle-to-whistle broadcast is the 30, 60, 90-second world that we all live in, that we can now pull content, high-res, low-res content, now in HD content coming up next year, that we can not only show on our website and show on YouTube and show with AOL Fan House, a deal we just brokered, one of our broadcast partners, online partners at Versus, but we can also push that content out in a variety of different ways through some other content deals that we're looking to do going forward. So our broadcast partners at ABC, TNT, Turner down in Atlanta, as well as ESPN, when something amazing happens in our league, Hasheem Thabeet, the second pick last year in the NBA lottery draft, came and played for our team in Bismarck, North Dakota. So Hasheem, makes quite a ruckus because he comes down and plays in our league. Huge exposure for us. If we didn't have this technology and the ability to communicate with this footage to our broadcast partners, we lose out on a great opportunity to grow our brand nationally. So it's important that we continue to do that when we have this high resolution content, to make it available, to make us relevant. Secondly, on a local level, it's very, very important for our teams. And I'm sure we'll probably talk later about the cost effectiveness of this model and how it's changed everything that we do. But locally, teams can take this content and they have their whistle-to-whistle broadcast that they can now negotiate local broadcast deals like never before because there's 0 cost. I mean, there's some HR costs, but now if you're a team president or a team owner, you can walk into your RSN or your local cable operator and say, hey, I've got NBA caliber content. Here's the production value. Take a look at it. I can deliver this to you for little cost or no cost, and we can work out a rev share, or I want half the commercials, so on and so forth. So there's minimal costs. We can stream it live and also broadcast it live at the same time, which a couple of our teams do, or we can do it in the tape delay format for those that are worried about how the actual live broadcast could affect their attendance. A second way that this helps us locally is teams can cut up these highlights, these 30, 60, 90-second highlights, and turn them over to their local broadcast partners in market to show on the news. As we all know, our news sources are getting smaller and smaller, And it's almost like the one-man band with a cymbal between his knees and the bass drum and the kazoo. These local reporters have too much to do without any resources. So if we were to call into one of our local affiliates and say, hey, we've got this great matchup tonight, these two top draft picks are going head-to-head, they may say, I appreciate it. The news director would say, but we got to go cover this local high school volleyball game. Or, Boise State University has a big bowl game that's going on. Sorry, we can't cover you. We can say, no problem. We're going to give this on a stick drive to an intern. He or she will drop in after the game, and boom, now our highlights get on locally, and we're doing a service for our local affiliates as well. So nationally and locally, this is very, very important to us. And then the monetization of that, I'm sure we'll talk about later as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Peter, in addition to being the only one of us who was asked for an autograph on the way down to the panel, you've got this great weekly online show called Furious World. And I think you're a great example of how the music industry has changed so much in the last 10, 15 years. What made you decide to put your energy and your time into doing this weekly live online show?
I finally figured out what HD means and why it's so. You guys are so freaking smart. There's hair deficiency because you're so smart, no hair can survive the steam coming out of there. Who can compete with you guys? It's just like if you were to read back what you said, it's an amazing amount of beautiful, and I'm intimidated. The only thing I can say good for myself this evening is that I selected gray socks to match the suit, and that just happened accidentally. Now, in answer to the question, why did I move from these normal music channels like making records, and I scored a lot of television shows, into this weekly broadcast, which is fantastically lucrative. I'm from the show. It's amazing. I'm so wealthy from it. It's unbelievable. My wife, she's always saying, don't be so sardonic. People don't know you're faking. It's not making any money at all right now. But I had been scoring these shows. I don't know if you ever watched Judging Amy before. You know the show, Tyne Daly? And I did that for 6 years. Bones I did for 3. When Tyne Daly would get up and she'd move her ass from one thing to the next, you'd have to like, dun 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 dun, you'd have to like it started to make me, though that was truly lucrative. I don't mock. Ironically, the things that are lucrative are not as interesting, but that's the way of the world. Blame God for that. So I had to make some kind of change before I went insane, and I had nothing to change to. I just spent a lot of time walking around the block with my dog. He got thinner and thinner as I walked. I'll get that. And then I had this idea, because all I do is I come up with ideas, whether they're music, and that's kind of how I've put food on my family's table. I had this idea, why not make films about like a green pepper? What does it mean to our lives, or water? What are these things that we think we know? Well, how does a child look at water? I called it the remystification. Whereas water, I know it. Trying to create a sense of awe about commonplace things again. I started to make these little films. I taught myself how to edit. And the guy that works for me while I was doing the TV stuff, named Mark Jacobs, who couldn't be here, he had a bad cold, didn't want to fly or something. He said, well, we can do this broadcast, and you could broadcast it out to all your fans. What are you talking about? This is my dream, to do like a hologram and not have to leave home. You know, it'd be great. I have kids, and who wants to leave? And we broadcast this little thing from the studio. Is there like a volcano happening? Is that me? I like that sound. I have to use it. Anyway, we broadcast from the studio to the office. And I'm like, oh my God. And we started doing this, and it got serious. Then I wrote a theme song. I charged myself $25,000, which is the rate. That's the rate for a theme song. And it went from one pocket to the next. And I wrote this song, Furious World, I hear it rocking. And then I couldn't think of a name for the show, and some guy goes, well, that's simple, Furious World. Oh, yeah, that's great. And then it became a thing, and it's something that I find really exciting, and this is beyond the scope, perhaps. I happen to be a person who's slightly pious. I do think about God all the time. That's one of my problems. So I was thinking, something has to give. This is a true story, by the way. Philip, you don't know this. And I don't say that prayer works like this, believe me. But I was praying, I said, damn, something's got to happen. I got to get something going with the show. And all of a sudden, brr, my cell phone goes off. And then I look at it 2 minutes later, Philip Nelson. We want to give you guys to use a TriCaster. You promote the show and use it. It's been the greatest gift that I've had since, I don't know what, Hot Wheel toys when I was a kid. And that's it. I mean, it's just an awesome thing. And the only problem with it, there are these stories about these Japanese haiku poets who would see a blank piece of paper in front of them. And because the potential was so great, so infinite, so daunting, they would sometimes stab themselves in the abdomen with a knife. TriCaster has given me that much hope for the future. So hide the frickin' cutlery.
Yeah, that's over. It's over.
I wasn't following you guys. That was the thing.
Wow. You're at the Tropicana at 9 and 11 tonight, right?
I'm going to be with Cher.
Chris Rock's coming out now.
Yeah. That is a hard act to follow, but let's talk a little bit about, clearly one of the key issues here is cost. It's always cost, like you said, Jeff. It's part of doing business. There's always budget constraints, but especially now in the current economy, people are more cost conscious than ever, and obviously it's a heck of a lot cheaper to use a box like a TriCaster than it is to take out the live truck. In general, what role has economics played in your various approaches to doing live productions? And this is thrown out to the panel. So,
I mean, it's been huge for us. And when we take a look at these costs, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, Jim Plant here, the CEO of NewTek, has assembled a great team. And at the NBA, we've got geniuses like Steve Himmelman and Mike Ricosa and Eric Weinstein and Jason Swain and Tim Kaine and all these guys that really help us and help our league and help our game look good because these guys know what they're doing. So it's important to get good consultants around you to teach a guy like me who has trouble figuring out what end of the screwdriver to use. So when we take a look at the cost model here, with what we end up spending on a TriCaster product, and certainly now with our broadcast partners at Panasonic for the HD cameras that we're going to use, it costs us X number of dollars for all that equipment that we can use per team the entire season. So let's just say that figure is $25,000. You guys know in live production, you can spend between $20,000 to $25,000 for one game. You rent a truck, you've got all your labor issues and guys pulling cable in your union shop. It enables us to do everything in 17 markets across the country and at our signature events for that one overall cost that we can use in perpetuity. And we deploy that stuff to the WNBA and then to NBA Summer League. So that team of people that we put together and the consultants that we work with at the Horizon League and the people at Sports Video Group have really taught us the way and shown us the light. So when you take this equipment and you hire local talented people in market, and some of the markets that we're in, we're able to negotiate better rates than say in a New York City or Chicago or LA, and you put that all together, and if you look at the annual operating budget of that and what we're able to put out, we're able to generate millions upon millions of impressions and turn that into some monetary value here in the near future at one fraction of the cost. So if we had this all to do over again, we would certainly do it in a heartbeat. I think that NewTek and their products, obviously it's not a secret anymore, but it was so amazing to us that you can do so much for so little and have a guy like me be able to work a mouse and put together this video production and look great. I just don't understand why more people aren't using this at every single level possible. It really is amazing. It's helped revolutionize the cost structure.
I was going to say, check 1, 2. There's a friend of mine, I live in Santa Monica, so there's every other guy's an unemployed television writer or something. And these guys have had their 7 figures go down a bit. And this guy came and watched the TriCaster at work. And he was just, I don't know if he was happy for me or sad, you know, little schadenfreude going on. But he said, this is the death knell of what I'm doing on network television. This is sealing the deal for this tiny amount of money you're literally making, assuming that you have good content, which doesn't cost anything more than a walk around the block with your dog and thinking. It's really the dawn of a, you know, I get kind of philosophical about it. It's just a little. It's a very amazing time. I mean, if you were to sort of say to your kids, well, this was a revolutionary moment. The most revolutionary moment is the telegraph. I think we've probably hit it again in this thing. You're making your own TV shows in your house, if you want to, that are as good as Jay Leno. It's amazing.
Yeah, no doubt, cost's a big deal. But it's not only the truck. We keep talking about trucks and the live production. It's also the trickle down. It's also being able to do something that's not live, cut a line cut so there's no post. And it's also so that we can cut out all the extraneous costs that are associated with shows. And it's not necessarily that we're solving, you know, it's not so much that we're saving the Ernst & Young bean counters who come in and evaluate the budgets some heartache, and we're cutting costs and cutting budgets, as much as it enables us to take some of that cash and put it towards creative solutions and creative resources. What really we are excited about as well is you know, remember when DV cameras came out, and I've only been on MTV since DV cameras have been in circulation, but when DV cameras came out, it was great because a producer can take a camera out of the closet, go shoot, and then come back and ingest it into Avid. It brought the creative closer to the production. And Avids were supposed to do that. Avids were supposed to be a producer who can go out, shoot, conceive the idea, sit at the desktop, Avids, Final Cuts, and other edit post software, and it brought the creative closer to the production. TriCaster, you know, we've got guys who are going to shows. We just did the ABDC finale the other night over at Warner Brothers, and we have producers from MTV.com, VH1.com, MTVNews.com quite a bit, who they're sitting in their workstations, they're creating graphics, they're saving it on a thumb drive, they're getting on a plane, or they're going down the street, they're producing a show that they did the graphics on themselves, they're ingesting right into TriCaster, it's pretty simple, and they're dragging and dropping. It brings the creative so much closer to the production. And that, as a result, just saves all kinds of costs everywhere. I mean, it's obvious, we don't have to go through it, but just saves all kinds of costs. That's the big deal to us. Brings the creative closer to the production. That's the big get.
I think some obvious things here for us on a local level. I've worked on the network level, I've worked at leagues and so forth, and coming to a local team, you know, you think, okay, we're not the NFL, we're the Giants. We're really just 1/32 of that NFL and so forth. When you're at a local mentality, and especially in our organization and many football organizations, you know, you have 16 games. Every game is critical. When we win, everything's great. When we lose, the week is a funeral. It's incredible. It's all about the game. It's how you do on the field. So what we do on our end, we have to constantly prove that there's a value and so forth. And local television is just not growing anymore for us. It's there, we maintain, we do several television shows, but that's really a branding issue. That's not a growth area for us. This is our growth area because of the cost savings, because we can train an intern, okay, to run the TriCaster and do our shows during the week. And okay, so if we have our pregame show, we bring in a couple more people and we have some more cameras and so forth, but still the costs are minimal. I don't know why like every university isn't doing this. I know many are, but you know, this is something that's a must and something that totally is the future.
Now, obviously, one of the other reasons to deliver your content online is because of the opportunities for interactivity with your audience. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the innovative ways you've been using that interactivity and what you'd like to do in the future that perhaps you're not doing quite yet. Jeff, you were telling me earlier about some of the interesting things that you've been doing.
We're very, very proud of that. That's a good one. We're starting blog parties now. We started doing our Hills post show that was produced by MTV.com. It was a dish show. 4 girls sitting in a girl's bedroom or living room after the show, and they were all dishing. Can you believe Heidi did this? Can you believe Lauren did this? And people would call in, and we'd do call-ins with not only the stars, reality stars, but also fans. And then fans would ask the stars questions, etc. Then we started IMing on board. So people would ask the star if Lauren Conrad sat down and was on a post show, we'd be able to IM questions. That's cool. Recently, we've raised the bar and taken it to the top notch. Something on streaming media that we could never do on linear, although now it's time to talk about it. But there's a slide that I could call up. What's the kid's name who's working the TriCaster back there? Zane, put up the slide. There it is. So thanks. So this is VH1 Divas. So VH1 Divas last year, live on VH1, didn't have a pre-show. It just doesn't have one. But it does have a red carpet. So VH1 News is on the red carpet, stick miking, interviews for tomorrow and ondemand.com. So we get a TriCast. So we said, hey, let's do a pre-show. Let's do a pre-show live from the red carpet. So anyone could just go grab 2 or 3 DVs out of the closet and maybe stick mic a talent and ask Q&A off a red carpet. And that's great. And we've done that. We're very proud of it, and it's terrific. It serves the viewer. It creates content. Couldn't be happier. And TriCast really enabled us to do that. But this year, we started raising the bar with the VMAs and Movie Awards and this Divas for VH1. So we're streaming that box live from the red carpet. And obviously, we're going straight to Akamai, and which saves all kinds of costs. We're talking about costs. Not having to downlink to our operations center out in Long Island, out in Montauk or something. Not having to push the video through fiber and all that. So that saves all kinds of dough. But anyway, the point is, you're at home and you're watching the red carpet, and we're doing live hits all day, promoting the Divas, and oh, that's gorgeous, nice. So these guys are trying to sell units. So we've got the blog party going on live from the red carpet. So we've got the stream from the from the red carpet, and on the right side we've got a blog party. Zane, actually, could you enlarge it because I want to show some script. Thanks. So,
You meant yours.
so on the right side, no, I meant me. So on the right side you can see that we're having and back. Yeah, and for future notice, you should let the panel do the comedy. But anyway, so on the right side, we've got a live blog party. So now you're at home, Divas doesn't go on the air for another hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. You're watching the red carpet. You're watching the red carpet live. So that's cool. The linear guys and the programming people love to tune in, and the viewer at home is now seeing red carpet, which they simply otherwise would not have a chance to see. So on the right side, we're doing a blog party. So the show starts at 9. At 7:15, I see people are at home saying, "Oh, I love her dress. Oh, that was a fun answer. Oh, that's all." So now we're having a live blog party, a live conversation at home. So you know how amazing this is? The viewers are at home, and now they're all connected, talking about the red carpet live as they're watching. That's amazing. I mean, we've got a virtual conversation going on. Talk about engaging viewers. In addition, lower, you can see we inserted a Facebook application. So now, if you're not blogging, you've got a Facebook application, and now we're talking with friends. That's fantastic. It's extraordinary. And by the way, nothing for nothing, if you take a look at the top right corner, Samsung Dual View, Samsung sponsored this. I guess they had a Dual View consumer electronics coming out or something, and you get it Dual View. And so now we're monetizing it. So everybody's happy. So we're monetizing this. When we did something like this for the Video Music Awards last year, I think live from Radio City, Variety came out the next day talking about what an innovative process this was, how terrific it was, and the quote was something like, and I'm paraphrasing, they talked about how MTV dominated the VMAs tonight on 2 screens, both linear and digital. That's a really cool thing. So it's such a 5-way win when you can engage viewers like that, start up a virtual conversation across the country. It's such a great thing. So that's the kind of innovative stuff we're doing.
I'm just going to comment on this. We found out during the course of this, last year we created this web TV channel, the TriCaster doing a lot of that, and But we realized as things are growing and as all the community and the demand of her two-way, that we were really giving a one-way view to our fans. We're pushing out a lot of video and doing a lot of innovative stuff and really creating a lot of great content, but it was really one way. So this year now, we're redesigning our website completely to be a total social network website. So when you land on Giants.com, you'll still see some of the other attributes that we've always had, but everything, we're gonna have Facebook, we're gonna have Twitter, we're gonna have our message boards, we're gonna have live chat. So when we're doing a live show, or there's a Tom Coughlin's press conference, or we're having a press conference with a player we're signing, we're gonna have boards going and people chatting and a live interplay so the fans can post stuff, and we're gonna push stuff to the fans. Fans will be able to push stuff on board. There'll be posts all around. We're gonna make now this messaging and this branding and all the access that we have two-way instead of one-way.
And on the social networking platform, there's two key things that this really comes into play for us as well. You take a look at our players in our games. Now, when we use our Twitter account, Facebook, etc., when games get down to the final closing minutes or something crazy is happening, a guy's going for 58 points, we can tweet, we can send Facebook messages, tell people to tune in and check it out. They now have a place to go right in their computer and check it out and see it in real time. There's also a concept we have called Virtual Scout. So as I said before, a lot of our guys make the NBA. So our fans can watch these highlights and they can go and vote, and there's a monthly contest on who they think is going to pop to be the next guy in the NBA. So we take the social networking platforms, combine it with the highlights that we do, and let the fans make their decision. And the similar thing on the game component, our league's playoff format, the top 8 teams make the league, and the first team gets to pick whoever they want to play out of the remaining 7 teams. So it has its advantages. You can cherry pick who you want to play if you're the first, second, third team. So we've allowed our fans to chime in on that as well. So the social networking, the information on the website, the highlights and so forth, that they now have a voice on who they want to see their team play. We may possibly one day allow our fans to have input on what teams actually do play each other in the playoffs. So we can have some fun with it. It's innovative, and it certainly has enabled us to engage our fans.
If we can do that, I want to play the Lions.
But they actually have to make the playoffs, though, right?
Nice.
Sorry.
Sorry for the Detroit fans.
Sorry, Detroit.
It doesn't have to be like that.
I'm a disgruntled Carolina Panthers fan, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, check. 1, 2. We have for our show, The Furious World, which is Wendy and Lisa. You know who they are? Primph, not Prince, Primph. Prince is, oh man, one time I saw him play when he first started, I almost quit music. Seriously. Just so you know, no one is as big a genius at music as Prince. No one even compares.
Agreed.
Just had to say that. Furious World is always live, except for tonight. Wendy and Lisa are pre-taped. But I have an idea that we use that's so good, I don't want you to copy it, so I'm not going to tell you about it. What we have for the struggling musician who doesn't really have, a big, I don't know, some kind of corporate behemoth behind them. I had to really finance this thing by myself, and it's coming to the wire, frankly. My wife is like, enough already. You said you'd give it a year, but I can't stop. I'm like an addict. And it's really, it's a big chunk of dough that's gone out on this show, so I'm kind of at a crossroads. So one thing that we have done, apropos to someone who's working on a smaller scale, is we've created this community of our fans, very similar stuff to everything that you're talking about. The people sometimes they go, well, what are you doing on Tuesday night? I don't know, let's meet, let's hang out in the Himmelman chat room on the Furious World. I don't know if that's the way I'd want to live my life, but people do, apparently. But what we have offered them is for a nominal figure, $10 a month, they get this thing called the backstage. And for those voyeuristic few who want to come and watch us set up and like have me swear and like, damn, unplug and fight fist fights and things. They like to come and see this. People are very enamored of watching creative types go through their machinations. Also, we offer them, free music or whatever these things are. And though the numbers have not been great, somebody told me in the ad business, the signs are good. The dog eats the dog food, as they say. I don't know if this is a common expression. In other words, it kind of works, in a certain way. So if only we could add a couple more zeros to these numbers, we'd be swinging.
Seriously.
And that's why I want to enlist you guys. You guys are so smart. This HD factor is killing me.
Forget about it.
Philip, you got a mic in hand. Is this like the singing portion of the
Q&A
show?
time.
All right, we're going to do a quick Q&A. We've gone a little over, but I want to thank the panelists. You guys are the leaders in implementing this technology, and you're finding new ways to deliver that content to your fans. And I do appreciate you guys taking time to be here because I know you're very, very busy. So we got time for 2 questions. Well, Jeff wants more.
Well, is this because of the suit? Are you rushing us out of here? I assume you've got to get the suit back by midnight.
Thank you,
Jeff. Otherwise, you got to
tough
pay for
crowd.
another day. Well,
I'll tell you what, just for you, I'll pay for the second day. We'll do 3 questions. All right, do we have any questions real quick that you'd like to ask the panelists? This is a great opportunity for you guys to pick the brains of these guys and learn something. Yeah, but right here at the table. Hold on, let me bring the mic to you so everyone can hear the question.
Okay, my name is Stacy Maxwell from the Academy of Radio, Television, and KBCH in Huntington Beach. I'm really impressed with with actually the whole week itself, the couple days here. But I'm very interested in the TriCaster as myself, and I'm really trying to get all this information, like just fill all this information inside. But if this type of promotion here that you're running here with the TriCaster, can I do something like this if I have something like this at home, or if I have something like this at a production studio? Can I do my own, like a sitcom or a reality TV show and broadcast that on live? Is that type of thing? And also with this field, and I know everyone has a lot of questions, how could I be an intern for what's his guy? Don. How could I be an intern for?
Send me a resume.
Okay, all right.
Who would like to take this one? So the question is, with this type of technology, can you create your own show and make your idea a reality? Peter?
Well, I think that you'd probably need somebody to give you like $500,000 or $750 million, and then you can start planning. No, you can go into it tomorrow. If you have a TriCaster and a couple of cameras, and some people that they don't even have to know how to use, and they'll learn. You're funny. Huntington Beach is it's a funny place. I mean, not in that sense, but they have a very sardonic sensibility being by the ocean. There's seals at play. I think you'd be at it. Let me see. I can't see. Let me see. Raise your hand. The lights. Look at you.
The lights are wild.
too much light.
Oh yeah, you'd be at it in about 6 days. 6 days, you'd be running it. Seriously. That's all. And it'd be looking, wow. No, I was kidding. You don't need $1 million. Who needs money? It's just an encumbrance. Somebody was just saying, oh, the limitations are the creative freedom. You don't want that money. Stay hungry, my friend.
Oh, we got another question. We got a gentleman right here that looks like he's got a serious question.
Hi, Markel Lambright from CBS Radio. My question is geared more towards monetization of content. How are you guys, or what are some of your monetization strategies? Is it typical sponsorship, or is it ad sales? And if it is ad sales, what types of ads? Is it pre-roll? Is it in-ad insertion? Is it a combination of both, etc.?
All right, good question, Markel.
Yeah, I mean, I believe me, it's a great question. If you have any suggestions on how we can do it better, I'm all ears. But I think there's certainly standard ways. You know, you can put a wrapper around the video player. Yes, you can do pre-roll. You can certainly do your revenue share opportunities with your content providers. There's all those opportunities there. So it's important for us to continue, at least when I say us, I think everybody in this room, to look to try to find new innovative ways in cross-platform ways, the cross-platform integration from going from your television screen for someone to do a traditional media buy for a game that's broadcast on TV, and you take them to your stats and maybe some more behind-the-scenes content that you can provide in real time, bios, highlights, live stats of what you're seeing on the screen, cross-platform it to sell sponsorship on that as well, bring in your socialization, your social networks, and all those sorts of things that create multi-level platforms, your mobile devices, et cetera. So since we no longer live in a one-screen society, the more we can bring everything together is more appealing when you go to a partner to try to acquire revenue. When you're trying to grow millions of impressions very, very quickly, it's important that you try to diversify your platform. So we're constantly on the search for how to monetize this content, how to create unique opportunities that make people care. When you get access to the greatest athletes in the world, like where else can you make a lineman a celebrity, or a center a celebrity? Every once in a while, you may have heard Bob Hope talk about these guys when we were kids in the All-American special. Now they're studs in the largest market in the United States. So everyone has a story, and everyone has a way to make money off that story.
I think there's a lot of ways in terms, because you're on the web, and because one is you're live, your appointment viewing, and then you're on demand. So the amount of times that this can air. So you're talking about like what we just said about rappers and branding and all kinds of stuff. You're talking about pre-rolls. You're talking about putting in commercials, product placement. And the amount of times that you air that during the course of the week, even after it's aired live, becomes a value added. And sponsors want to be on the, like we sell packages. We don't just sell, we don't sell by ratings or inventory or so forth. We'll go to a sponsor and say, if you come to the Giants, you get all this. You get, the game presentation, you get television, you get radio, you get publications. But everyone wants the internet. They want to figure it out. It's where a lot of the stuff is going right now. The TV and all the other standard areas are leveling off right now. This is where the increase is, because it's the amount of volume and the amount of increase you can do.
Yeah. Well, guys, I just want to thank you again for being here at the panel discussion. It is some great information that you shared with us today, and I thank you for the time, because like I said, I know you're busy and probably have a million people begging you to go to dinner. But I want to also thank, Jeff's getting an offer right now for a dinner. But I also want to thank Streaming Media Magazine for sponsoring this event, and Eric for being here to help us host this event. And on behalf of NewTek and all its very, very cool customers, I'd like to thank Jeff, Don, Sean, and Peter. And we appreciate you guys being here with us tonight and hope you enjoy NAB. We'll see you soon.